Well, we have our staff adult roommates count going. Very interested in this. You might be surprised as to who's had the most. Also, have this thought. Here's a philosophical thought for you. I was talking to Dr. Drew. He was explaining that he was coming from Phoenix back to Burbank. They had to turn the plane around, blah, blah, blah.
What?
But a woman who was in a wheelchair was very upset because someone wasn't helping her off the flight bridge, the gangway, the jetway. And
The holodeck.
said she leapt out of her wheelchair and ran across the whatever to yell at somebody.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Right. And remember when wheelchair meant wheelchair?
Infirmed.
It was like World War I veteran.
Yes.
Like you weren't really fully in a wheelchair unless you had a blanket over your
Yes.
lap. That meant...
A colostomy bag.
Yes, all the accoutrements. But I said this. I said, Drew, we did a lot of traveling in the mid and later 90s, 97, 8, 9. We were all over the place. We're going out to colleges every weekend. And we traveled through LAX, and then we went everywhere that had an airport. And I said, and also wide body planes. That's back when they flew the big ones.
The two aisles.
Yeah, you go into Boston or New York from LA or even Chicago. You're on a big airplane back then. I said, what percentage of those flights even had people in wheelchairs boarding the plane? Because I've been noticing that most of flights I take now, there's a lot of wheelchair boarding going on before first class or before, because they call the groups, they call the veterans. He said, yeah, back then it was all kids. It was all like, hey, if you're traveling with a child, you can get on the plane first. I don't hear that so much anymore, but it's a lot of wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And then I thought, in 20 years since we've been doing this, 25 years, folks in wheelchairs is up 100-fold. I mean, it really didn't exist. And if it did, it was just a very old human being. It was an old woman.
Right.
There was there was 2 out of every 10 flights you took, somebody was getting on. It was a little bit of a novelty.
Right.
Pretty ubiquitous now.
Novelty.
How many, and then it kind of makes you wonder, and he kind of tied it into COVID, like how much obesity is there now? But then how much just in general, I want someone in a wagon to pick me up at the curb and just push my ass right to the front of that line.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I think there's a fair bit of
VIP.
that
I think you're
going
right.
on.
Totally anecdotally, on my flight back from Vegas, I was like in row 4 or 5, so I got off pretty early.
Of course.
And as I'm getting, it was Southwest, it doesn't matter. I was getting off the jetway, and there were 7 wheelchairs lined up with attendants ready to pick people up.
Wait a second. How does that work? Oh, you
'Cause
didn't fly
they're-
into Burbank. I was going to say, how does that work in Burbank when you have to walk down
it's
the
in
stairs?
LAX. Yeah, this is the full-on jetway, and there were 7 attendants with
my
7
God.
wheelchairs ready to pick up passengers.
We should take a look at that as a society, because there's 2 things that are at play here. There's 2 factors. One is morbidly obese young people, not older veteran cripples or Nana, but these are younger people who are morbidly obese. And then there is the game the system folks. Now, I don't know how it breaks down, but we should take a look at that, because that wheelchair line is going to get longer and longer. And all it does is sort of, to my knowledge, they don't pay a premium for it or anything. So, if you want to bring an extra bag, that'll cost an extra $40. But if you want someone to pick you up, like a person employed by the airline is not picking you up in a shuttle or tram.
No.
It's one-on-one. They're going to pick you up and they're going to cart your ass over there, and then they're going to be waiting for you. And I mean,
VIP.
Well, I don't know what the expense is, but I feel like we're all sharing that expense.
Absorbing it.
It's
And
backed
I
out.
do feel kind of maybe this is the new emotional support animal. Like people are going, hey, why not get a note from the doctor so I don't have to walk my fat ass from the... Believe me, if they swing by Chick-fil-A on the way out, that person's stopping, popping out of the wheelchair, standing in line for 20 minutes and then popping back into the wheelchair. But I did think the line of wheelchairs waiting.
Seven.
The parade.
Again, it was such a novelty back in the day that if you saw one wheelchair, it's like, who's on this plane? Is Ironside on this plane? FDR? Like, who's on this plane?
It was the girl from Airplane
Right.
who gets to lay down in the hospital bed in front.
Jill Whelan, I think.
How do you know that?
Because I watch The Love Boat.
Right.
And she showed up as Captain Stubing's daughter
Got
in
it.
later episodes. So, of course, I follow her career.
Satisfying answer.
You're welcome.
Also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, Dawson and I did. A little insulting, don't totally understand it when they're calling for, pre-boarding. They said any military officer in uniform. So if you didn't happen to wear your fatigues that day, you wait in line when, you're serving your country like everybody else?
Well,
Can you just flash a card?
Now, it probably used to be any active military personnel or something, but maybe more guys in dockers walking up there just trying to hop on the flight early. But
Maybe.
there is a kind of a social code. It's called dignity. Like, you don't want to be in a wheelchair unless you really need to be in a wheelchair, and you don't want to say you're in the service unless you're really in the service.
Stolen valor.
Yeah.
Stolen valor, rolling valor.
Wow.
Oh,
well
my
done.
God.
Well done.
So, and maybe Operation Rolling Thunder could put an end to this goddamn thing. But they're going to have to start cracking down, because you didn't used to have to crack down on shit because people had dignity.
Right. Self-policing.
They self-policed. Yeah. Now you got to wait.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like if you're in a wheelchair, you get on last. I feel like that's my new policy.
could work.
You're the slowest moving of all of us, and you're going first. All you're doing is jamming it up. Now, maybe Southwest, where they don't have assigned seating.
Got to put them in front.
But if you have an assigned seat,
Sure.
why are we all bottlenecking our asses waiting for you to get on? I'm back here, schwitzing with my first class ticket, no lemons.
Mr. Get On Last anyway.
And,
He's elbowing the wheelchair people out of the way.
I of
Not
course,
today.
I've had to modify my get on last policy because my get on last policy was pretty straightforward. I used the same logic, which is, if you had, it's a little different now, but if you had a first class ticket, chances are you paid 2 times, sometimes 3 times, sometimes 4 times what someone in the back of the plane would pay. They do not hand out any drinks or any hot towels or give out any temple massages or anything. There is you sit. It used to be they'd roll a cart by you with
There are
some
perks.
champagne on it or something. There's no perks. But I looked at it as the same way as boarding a bus. What if everyone was taking a bus to Nevada and my ticket cost 3 times as much, and they said, you can get on and sit on the bus now and watch everyone load onto the bus. Well, by the way, sit toward the front so they can bang you in the knee with the rolling luggage and give you the stink eye. I'm like, no, I'll just wait till everyone is on, and then I'll get on. I used to do that, but they started filling up the overhead because, again, no more dignity.
Right.
They'd walk onto the plane, turn right, find the first open bin, which would be in first class, and just shove their bag up there. I would also argue that between that weird gauzy curtain thing that doesn't seem to get closed anymore and people shitting up the first class head, maybe a little more enforcing going on, maybe a little more policing going on in first class. When someone's getting on and they're on row 87 and they're starting to put their Samsonite above the first class, it's like, wheel it to the back. Yeah. I know you like it here.
Yeah.
It's waiting for you
Who
when you get
doesn't?
off the plane. But first class guys, we need it as well. All right. There's some Dave Chappelle news that's been making the rounds. Got our staff roommate update. We'll get to that right now. I was writing down all the names. I have 10, but 2 are 2 halves. There was my buddy Chris's dad who stayed for a couple of weeks before he went to prison.
Right.
Because that's what you want in a roommate. Dad's heading off the joint. What you want in a roommate is a dad that has a villa in Aspen.
Yes.
That you can hang out in.
Oh, yeah.
Or a ski boat.
Right.
But not a dad who's going into the joint
Yeah.
with a box.
On the other end of the spectrum.
His box, he had a box. Didn't have luggage is a highfalutin item for a
Sure.
lot of. He had a box, pair of cowboy boots, can of Dinty Moore stew,
boy.
and his water bottle. And I don't mean, one with the team logo on it. I mean just
Like a milk jug?
His was a Clamato bottle
Oh, boy.
that he would fill with tap water and put it in the refrigerator. So Big Rick, he'll be missed. He stayed with us for a little while. And then there was Mike, the cement contractor who I met in the alley, who crashed out for 4 or 5 days on the sofa as well. So those are my two halves. But I got up to 10. Kaylin has 3. These are adult roommates. We're excluding college years. This is when you're done with college or done with whatever, and you've moved out into the adult
You're
world.
paying rent.
Yeah. Chris has 3. Dawson, a whopping 15. Is that true?
It's 10 now. There were 5. 5 of those was in.
Oh, I
college.
was looking at the old script.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, 5 was college. So 10, still high. Everyone else's numbers accurate so far. Emmy, 3. Matt, 19.
That seems impossible.
Is
You
he
rent a
the
house?
world's worst roommate? He
Yeah,
just
people
kept
fucking hated living with Regina.
seriously
Or
kept
love
getting
living with
kicked
them.
out.
How'd you get to 19?
Rent-
So after college, I lived at home for about a year, and then I went to a house party.
Counting a Simpson stuffies.
Yeah, no, I didn't count any of those. But I went to a house party of my friend's girlfriend's place. And it was a 3-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood. And I was had just enough money saved up that I could finally move back out again. And they needed a roommate. And it was essentially a month-to-month kind of place. It was all girls. And I was the sole male roommate. And
Hey.
over the course of about 4 years, I had 9 different roommates there.
Oh, yeah. You've unlodged a memory because I forgot. I got to add 2 or 3 to my total because when I was living in North Hollywood and my girlfriend moved out, I could not swing the ungodly $750 a month rent.
Oh, boy.
And I had a rotating cast come through. Bob from Canada came by. God, I'm trying to think. One of the writers I had met at the Acme Theater. I had guys coming kind of month to month for a while just to
Flopping.
make ends meet. Yeah, sad. So Matt, 19.
Yeah, North Hollywood. And then after that, I had a unique scenario in which I moved in with all of my old college roommates, but it was about 7 years after we had graduated college, and we had a big party house up in Hollywood, and there were another 7 roommates that lived there over the course of a couple years, including one Gary Smith.
Blue, you're my boy!
That's right.
Old school situation.
Yeah, well, Gary had 8, which is solid. Ryan had 5. I'm also
He's still young.
I was always
I'll see more in his future.
I'd rather have roommates in a nicer place than live alone in a bad part of town.
I disagree, or at least a young Gina did, because I was so sick of I went from 13 to 9 after we cut out college, but I had such a bad experience with a roommate that I moved to that place at the corner of Rape and Murder by the Bob Baker Theater, the Marionette Theater. I couldn't have been happier to live alone, but it was a very dangerous and very depressing situation.
Yeah, I'm trying
Kicking
to.
roosters out of the way, having cops like tailing me home, asking them to please leave me alone so I'm not a target, asking the gangbanger dudes to please take their Slurpees off my car so I could go to KLSX, dog fights, feral cats giving birth on my doorstep. It was crazy.
Was that in Koreatown?
That was Douglas. It's
It
literally
aspired to be Koreatown.
yeah, seriously, it's literally right on the border of downtown and Echo Park.
Oh boy.
And Echo Parque. And it was rough. That's what the neighbors across the way, because I think it was also Section 8 housing, which I did not get to partake in. I would wake up a lot because my head was against the hallway wall, and the guys across the way were always getting high and would yell, "Let's wake up the white bitch," and start pounding on my wall.
Well, you can't judge. Yeah, I never had any section anything. I did have a rent control in Santa Monica for maybe a year and a half.
Well, that's nice.
Pretty sweet deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a sweet deal. But my roommate was horrible. She was a woman. You got to picture this for a tough roommate. She had a cat named Cecily, who's the meanest cat I've ever met in my life. And I like cats.
I do too.
I can look the other way on a brooding cat or a moody cat. This was a mean cat.
Aggressive.
This cat would
Emo cat.
this cat would rub against your shin while you're like watching TV and rub back when you'd reach down to stroke it and it'd just claw the shit out of you.
Yeah, fuck that
just
cat.
crazy, like half Siamese. She was unemployed for the entire 18 months I lived with her.
The cat?
And Lisa, my roommate, and was putting on 5 pounds a week. Just
Jesus.
She
Steady climb.
hit a tough patch,
Yeah.
and she was just depressed and shopping for food in bulk and hanging out and just sort of moody, and then may have had feelings for me. I don't know, but whenever I would on the off chance I would bring a woman back to it was always it was an issue.
Cold shoulder.
Yeah, it was all just a goddamn mess.
How did you guys even find each other?
She was a very talented comedic actress, improvisational actress who I met at the Acme Theater. Then I moved out, and I think I lived with my girlfriend there, who eventually just moved out again. It was the same girlfriend, and then even though it was rent control, I was making so little money. I just had to have a roommate. I mean, I don't, maybe the rent was $650 in a place that could have been $1,500 or
Right.
something like that. But no, that I remember. All I remember from that period was a horrible cat, horrible roommate. I used to walk. It was in Santa Monica. I'd walk down to the supermarket. That's the place where I heard the woman screaming and got robbed in the street at night. And I was running down the street. And I also remember listening to Loveline. I had my little
In the early days.
Walkman.
Foreshadow.
And
Thinking I could do better.
it was the Poor Man, and it was Dr.
Someday.
Drew, and it was the episode. I don't know if you can find anything about this one online, MaxPad, but there was a kind of famous episode where Phyllis Diller was in and was not down with the content at all, and just
sure.
kind of
From
said
a
it,
different era.
said it into the microphone, I gotta leave.
Which is
I'm not
funny because
doing
she
this.
was sort of the edgy comic of her time.
Yeah, she
His
was.
body.
Right.
Body,
but
right,
this was too far.
No bueno for her. But I remember very clearly, this must have been 1991, 1992.
Okay.
I was just walking. I put my little earphones on. Oh, Love Lines. And I was walking to the supermarket at night, and I seem to recall hearing Phyllis. Brian, what's your tally?
So I'm fortunate enough that I lived with the same roommate for 8 years after college until I met and I moved in with Christy. This is my Italian friend Alex, who was in my wedding. But we had 2 roommates, the horrible roommate Jacob I told you about. Who I'm not your employee. I caught him stealing my cereal one time. Good times. I literally caught him as though I shined a flashlight on a cockroach. He was in the kitchen, hand in my cereal box.
Bare hand,
describe my look.
Commando style on the box.
Describe my look to the people. That's how he looked at me.
Deer in the headlights full of food.
Yes.
Cheek stuffed full of cereal.
I'm also, it's so comical that cereal was considered a durable good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's my cereal.
You couldn't go with the name brand Raisin Bran. You had to go with Raisin Plus that Lucky's was offering. You know what I mean? Because it was 80 cents cheaper for a bag,
Right.
big box
It comes
of it.
in the bag.
Right,
instead of the box.
Right, and then lots of disclaimers okay, listen, roommates, I weigh this box. You understand?
I wrote a line on it.
Yeah.
I know what's in there. So, and Olaf, a Norwegian friend of Alex's, lived with us. So if you count Christy, who I moved in with in 2008 when we met, or after we met, obviously, 4 roommates. After college would have been 12 or 13, but
Right.
afterwards 4.
Yeah, cereal. Oh man, who's gotten into the cereal? This is my cereal.
Cereal and any bottled soft drink. Not like the 2-liter, but if there were individuals I took a roommate's cream soda, and I swear to God, I was so shamed and traumatized by that. I've never done it since. And I'm well into my adult years.
You have the Phyllis Diller audio. This is 1993. Must have been early in 93. Must have been, well, maybe we don't know. But it was, I was about early 93, I was probably moving out of Santa Monica because I was building the gym in Pasadena and the commute in my Zuzu Trooper from Santa Monica there. So we had a room open in a house that Ralph and Cortland had up in La Crescenta. So they gave me that, or they rented me that room. April 1993. This is Phyllis Diller audio from Loveline.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Hello, Dr. Drew?
Yes, ma'am.
You've got to let me off this because I find it very depressing and I can't hear the other people talking. And I can't relate to this at all.
Phyllis?
You hear?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen,
I find it most depressing. I thought it was a funny show.
Phyllis, this is what's going on out there.
Okay, well, look, I can't take it.
Really? It's too much for you, Phyllis?
Too much. Can't stand it.
Well, you want to give some more calls a try?
No.
Hold on.
I want out.
This is probably Ricky Rackman.
I see it as Poor Man.
Oh, it's Poor Man.
Yeah.
Man, Rackman must have got there 10 minutes after this call because he was... I feel like Rackman was there for a couple of years before I got there, and maybe I got there in like 95 or something. We've got to figure this out because this must have been right at the end of Poor Man. Sorry. Did I undersell this at all?
No, it was much worse, actually.
Poor Man was replaced by Ricky in August of 93. So
okay, so this is a few months later.
Wow.
All right, sorry, you can keep playing it. So this is Poor Man and Drew, who don't sound like Poor Man and Drew because of the
You've got to get me off this call.
That's right.
All right.
Good night.
Okay. Phyllis? Jeez. She hung up. Wow. What happened? What happened to Phyllis?
106.7 K-Rock, KROQ. It's the...
Yeah. She was not briefed by her publicist. I don't know what she was plugging, some live dates, maybe a movie.
Well, and God forbid somebody had a serious question that they tried to tackle. Sorry, Phyllis.
Not funny.
It's depressing and I can't hear anything.
Yeah, if you can't hear it, then why is it depressing? Right. Ryan's right. What was Phyllis Diller? What do you think?
Promoting.
Promoting.
You know, I'm seeing actually that was a best of show, so it might have happened a little bit before that.
My guess, I'm going Laughlin or Reno dates.
And when did Phyllis die? Well, it is weird that I had it in my head as like 91 or 92, so maybe it was a earlier show.
Loveline wasn't syndicated back then, so it would have been either something local or a movie.
Right. She died in 2012.
Wow. It's around for a while after that. How old was she?
Oh, you guys do this. She was born in 1917.
So just 5 years shy of 95.
95?
There you go. 95, yeah.
Wow. Long run.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't have a sense of humor about the show.
That's a groundbreaking comedian.
Oh, speaking of feral cats, which Gina brought up, somebody tweeted me our NFL and college players with their crazy names, and somebody put together...
They're made-up names.
At Brian Peds on Twitter.
Yeah, somebody put together playing cards. Or I should say...
Playing cards.
Call them? Playing cards? Yeah. Football cards? Yeah. Well, they call them baseball cards.
Football cards.
Football cards? Yeah. All right, football cards. And we got the Vigorous Lover. We got the Librarian Booker. We got Legs Akimbo. And we got the big run stopper, Feral Cats.
He's a nose tackle.
Nose tackle. And then we have the kicker, who's a foreign guy, Nadir Zenith. And then we have
Oscar Buzz.
Oscar Buzz. He's a corner. Put him out on the island, man. He's a shutdown corner,
That's
Oscar
like
Buzz.
Field on you.
Yeah, Adam, they've actually been compiling this on your subreddit too. I'll give you a few more if you want them.
Sure, we'll take a few more.
You have offensive lineman to gluten free, fullback tangy mango. Also,
He's
you
an Islander.
have the safety fortuitous bounce. There's modular homes.
HOLM. Yeah. Modular homes.
Nefarious plan.
Sure.
Operating Thetan.
Operating.
It's like a Scientology term.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Minority Banks.
Minority Banks.
Glendora Bevmo.
Local joke.
Yeah. Do Vatine.
Duvetine. Yeah.
Orlando SeaWorld.
Now we're killing the
Stretch.
lily here.
I'll stop there.
Glendora Bevmo.
All right, let me tell you about Simply Safe. Want to feel safer at home? No better time than now. This week, our friends at Simply Safe are giving my listeners 40% off their award-winning home security. Simply Safe has everything you need. Indoor and outdoor cameras, comprehensive sensors, all monitored round the clock by trained professionals who will send help in an instant if you need it. Named Best Home Security System of 2021 by U.S. News and World Report. Easily customize a system for your home online in minutes. Even get free custom recommendations. These are Simply Safe's biggest discounts of the year. Get a complete home security system starting at just over $100 with no long-term contracts or commitments either. Offer ends soon. Take the 40% off at simplysafe.com/Adam today. That is simplysafe.com/Adam today. All right, we got a bunch of calls up there. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this.
And now, a totally innocuous word that sounds dirty when Mike Dawson says it.
Bottom.
Ew. Let's get back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Well, we got a couple of calls up there. I got my trials and tribulations from this morning with the kids and the school and the situation. But we got some comments up there. Let's talk. I want to talk to Matt from Atlanta because I've read a couple tweets. People like our drunken show from Vegas. I don't have a strong recollection of a lot of the content that was on there. Had a few pops. Matt, 39, Atlanta.
Hey, it's Gina Ball. How's it going?
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy. Dude, the last 10 minutes of that show, you felt like one of us.
What the hell was I even talking about?
Exactly.
I have no idea.
There were many sentences that were finished by others.
Really?
There was no maintaining.
A mess. It was awesome.
I was tired as shit.
You had
and
thoughts
I've been
that
drinking.
went unfinished.
Good.
Thoughts that lingered.
It was so funny, too, because there were moments of like real lucidity, but your mouth wasn't cooperating. So we knew where you were going, but it was just such a joy to try and get you to say it.
There were pregnant pauses that continue to this day.
I thought I was witty and funny. I didn't know I was just sloppy and drunk.
Yes.
Gina laughing to fill the gap was the best part. It felt uncomfortable, but it was awesome.
Indeed.
I was so zonked out, I went right to bed right after. I didn't even go out to
You should have gone to
dinner.
your room first.
Yeah, I should have gone to my room before I did it on the air.
So did you see any of Fitz and the tantrums? Or you wouldn't know?
No.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
It was a great party.
Yeah, it's too much whiskey, I think. Probably caught up to me by the end of the show. But the parts before that, there were funny
Delightful.
things in there, right, man?
Oh, it was a great pod.
All right.
Dan's always a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adam, were you aware that Dan finished the show? Like, gave all the plugs and everything?
I have a vague
He gave his
recollection
own
of that.
plugs.
Yeah, that's true. I think he was worried you weren't going to give him all his plugs.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I got whiskey knocked onto my laptop twice.
That was outstanding.
How's that computer holding up?
Got a couple sticky keys here, but Brian laughing at it made it worth it, I guess. He was really cracking up.
It had just been purchased to replace the one that got stolen.
Oh, yeah. There's a big... I've been hearing lots of stories out of San Francisco or that area about cars getting broken into and stealing. It's an epidemic over there now.
The car that got broken into when I was in Oakland, she also went to San Francisco last weekend, got broken again.
Oh my
broken
God.
into again. Yeah, window smashed.
Yeah, rules, cops. Turns out there's something to it.
Yeah, people are like putting out signs on their cars like "There's nothing valuable in here. Please don't break it. Break in."
I'll tell you
That's a tell.
that not since the 80s when people were stealing everyone's car stereos where they would put signs out, it's already been stolen. They were usually written in anger. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Yeah. Well, now I feel bad because I'd read some tweets like, oh, that show was so funny, but I didn't know it was funny laughing at me.
Well, it started laughing with you.
Okay. All right. Samuel, 35, Bakersfield.
Hi, Adam, Gina, Ball. Love this goddamn show.
Thank you.
There's a lot of sad stories of, the lady, Gabby Petito. There's a rape in Loudoun County, Virginia. And, there's just lots of horrible things that happen to women.
Yeah.
So I think I have an idea that will greatly reduce, rape, domestic violence, abuse of women.
Can't wait.
Brace yourselves, everyone.
And my idea it should be implemented throughout, this country, and that should be mandatory MMA classes for all girls, starting in all public schools. Right?
No.
Start them off.
Here's the problem. While there's the occasional wilderness killing and rape in the Loudoun County bathroom with the transgender or whatever. That happens, but what I'm seeing more of is chicks throwing down on Southwest flights, and chicks throwing down in front of clubs, and chicks throwing down because
girl on girl.
They couldn't get their McGrimace shake, and now they're physically. I don't want those people to have skills.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
It's already bad enough that they're going at it, but it's a lot of hair pulling and tugging on trying to pull a blouse off.
Yeah.
I don't want people getting folks into figure fours and choke holds and throwing
Arm
elbows
bars.
and arm bars. Yeah, I feel there's a lot more women fighting. Like if you looked at a graph and you went like domestic violence or women being murdered by their van partner on road trips, that's up 3%. But women throwing down in public spaces, the Karens out front of the Costco, that's up 2,000%. And I don't want them to have their hands registered.
You're absolutely right. I totally agree. Samuel, there's parts of that I like. I like, self-defense classes. I like all the Krav Maga and stuff. But if nobody else is going to say it, I'm going to have to. Instead of arming women, why don't you tell these fucking boys to stop hurting girls?
Knock it off,
Thank
rapist.
you.
That's a bridge too far.
Apparently it fucking is.
But you ladies can still defend yourselves against us. We're garbage some of the time.
No, I hear you. I
don't know.
I hate it when people are victimized. So when I have a daughter, hopefully one day, I will teach her MMA. I will teach her to defend herself.
Good.
You should do it, Paul Bryan. You should do it. Well, I don't know about you, Adam, but all the lackeys teach your girls MMA.
Yeah. Yeah, she beat up on us today already.
Even if they're not kind of hardcore fans,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is those things were all the rage. There was a time, say in the 70s, like mid-70s, there was all those guys that be put in those hazmat protective
the beekeepers.
suits.
Basically, a mascot.
Right.
Yeah, they kind of put on the suit you use when the dog's going to attack you, when the police dog's going to attack you.
Like the Michelin Man.
And they'd come lumbering at the woman in the dojo, and she'd yell like, no, leave, and then throw like a knee to the groin or whatever. But the chick was 120 pounds. It never really... it didn't feel that effective.
Yeah, I think from those old videos, too, they always say, eyes, palm to the nose, kick in the nuts.
Yeah, definitely fight, but... It's sort of right up there when they teach the 9-year-old karate for self-defense.
Yeah,
it's like,
cute.
who are they using this on? Not the 19-year-old junkie in the subway.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like that's going to work, but I couldn't hurt.
Yeah. It's like you, Dojo being like, no, now throw the knife back and forth, menacing.
In my... we would do man show bits.
Still my favorite.
You know what I mean? And the man show bits... Still got to find Sloppy Joe, Chris.
We
Doesn't
were
exist.
looking. Yeah.
Do we know what the name of it is?
No.
Well, have you looked through bits from season 4?
Yes, it's not in any of the titles or anything like any buddy cop kind of thing.
The hell is that bit called? Anyway, that could have been season 3. Season 3 or season 4?
Yeah, we looked at season 3 and 4, but I'll
All I remember is it was toward the end. It was one of the ones we kind of shot at the end of the season. I think that's what Jimmy was getting irritated. But one of the bits, so we used to do bits, we'd have deaf frat guy come in. We had a bit that I think I would do it with Dan Dratch.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Rachel Dratch's brother. And we'd have big meetings inside our office with all the writers. And then at some point, inevitably, Dan Dratch would go, well, what if we did Manovations in Act 1 and then saved, Movies Men Hate for Act 3? And I'd go, could you guys excuse us for a second? And I'd go, Dan, can I just talk to you outside for just 1 second? Just real quick. And then we'd stand right outside the door. I'd shut the door, but we'd stand right next to it. And I would just yell, what was that? What was that? I don't know what that was. Please explain to me what that was. And I'd yell, what was that, as loud as I could for like 3 minutes. And then we'd compose ourselves. Then I'd open the door and go, okay, sorry.
Anyway,
have a seat.
You're saying?
Yeah, there was the what was that bit. There was Deaf Rat Guy bit. But there was also, I would do a self-defense bit where I'd go, all right, so... I'm at the ATM. My back is turned. Josh, you come up behind me. Come up behind me and take your arm, put it around my neck. Put it around my neck. And he'd come up behind me and he'd, put his arm around my neck. And I'd go, oh, okay, but not your right arm. You got to use. Okay, so hold on. All right, I'm at the ATMs. Come with your left arm. And of course, you knew what the joke was. Everything was, but step back a little bit, but don't squeeze. Don't grab your arm with your other arm. Have your other arm free. And then now what I'm going to, and I just contort him into everything I was going to do so that he would eventually just fall down on his own.
So that's where that bit came from in the dojo.
Yeah, I think I had been kind of doing a version of that bit where the guy pulled the knife on me and had to put it in his other hand and then throw it back and forth and go slower. Yeah, that's where that bit came from. All right, we have, so what happened to me this morning was I drive Natalia to school and Sonny walks. And it feels like a bit of a waste because I would probably prefer they both walk, but I drive one and the other walks. And Natalia has this very annoying habit of like getting up a little late. Then she's late, but she imposes it on me. Like, come on, Dad, come on. Like, we're running late. Yeah, you got up a little late. And I go, well, let me get my coffee. No, come on. So she's yelling, drive faster, like through the neighborhood and stuff. But this morning, Sonny was up. Sonny had a little bit of a cough, but not much. Seemed fine. And he said, well, I don't know if I should go in with a cough. And then I said, nah, you don't seem sick to me, and you miss a ton of fucking days.
Yeah.
So how about you just...
The quail.
Oh, my... You don't even know the half. I was like, well, just get your shit together and go to school. And then he said, yeah, all right. And then at some point he said, well, can I just ride with you and Natalia? And I said, yeah, good. To me, it feels wasteful. I got a third row. Mm-hmm. I got one chick riding shotgun. No one else is in the car. The other person's walking. It just feels like a waste. So I go, yes, by all means, go. And then at some point, I start going down the stairs, and Sonny's coming back in, and I go, what's up? And he goes, Natalia doesn't want me coughing in the car. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do this battle. This is the problem with COVID. COVID has weaponized everyone to just go, you, gone, out, back, mask. Yeah, of course. The question is how much you want to get in. I'm still in my bathrobe at this point.
How long is the drive to school?
11 minutes, but not because it's far, only because the cars stack up and turn right and line up and drop off and everything. So I go, okay. Fine. So Sonny goes, forget it. I'll just walk to school. Aww. And I go, okay, fine. Now, sometimes you go, well, isn't that bad parenting? Because you got one kid bullying another kid. Yeah, at a certain point you go, fuck it. Cut my losses. So I drive Natalia to school. Then I turn around. I have a very busy day today. But okay. Turn around. I get home. When I get home, Sonny's waiting in the garage, and he goes, "Can you drive me to school?" And I go, "Wait a minute. I thought I was driving you to school. I thought you were walking." He's like, "I didn't want to deal with Natalia. Now, can you drive me to school?"
Wow.
Okay.
2 laps.
Awesome. 2 goddamn trips. Fine. Get in the car. So then I drive him to school and then hustle home. And I'm running behind, getting all my papers together and all my junk together and clean my stuff up. And then at some point, I hear the door open. And I'm like, what is going on? It's Sonny.
What?
He went to school, coughed in his class, had a girl complain, didn't feel safe, got sent home.
Wow. And this is like you getting ratted out on the plane because
On the
somebody didn't feel
Southwest
safe.
flight, yeah.
Wow.
We're there, by the way. Safety Uber Alice, everybody. Now you got to, by the way, if you don't like attending school, just work a little cough.
Sonny's best day ever.
Work a cough up and you are out. So now he's home with his cough, and thank God I drove him to school.
Twice.
I thought of this question that I immediately realized you're not going to know the answer, but is there some minimum number of days they must attend?
Yeah, or they're truant, right, for the year.
Or they can't move on to the...
There has to be.
Yeah, I don't know. My buddy Ray.
I get familiar with what the amount is, Adam.
His senior year, he missed like 141 days out of like possible 179 or something. They moved him on.
Would you want to keep Ray another year?
That was basically like a warden letting out a serial killer because he'd attacked too many guards. He didn't care about the general populace or the public safety. It's like, I just don't want him in here.
Right.
I don't want another fight in the cafeteria.
Right.
Move him on, man. Keep going. Yeah, I should. I don't know, Chris. There might be something online like LA Unified maximum amount of truant days, or well, it's all cattywampus now because of COVID because everyone stayed home and now no one. It's not even your fault half the time. You go in there and go, oh, I feel my forehead feels warm. They're like, go home and stay home.
This is something. This is just the first thing I Googled. It says for LAUSD, defines truancy as absence from school without a valid excuse 3 full days in 1 school year. Did he do that in the first week?
Oh, yeah. He by Wednesday, he covered it. All right. We have the Chappelle thing was making the news. He was doing his show in Nashville, I think, and was covering the whole dust up over at Netflix. And we'll play you that, but there's also a kind of more interesting part of it that I'm interested in as well. So we'll play you that. Chris has it.
To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
That's funny. I was checking, where we was talking about Rotten Tomatoes, I was checking Hannah Gadsby's last special, Nanette, on Rotten Tomatoes. 100% with the critics.
Ooh, certified.
100.
Whoa, look at the chasm.
Yeah, 26 with the audience. But
wow.
When did critics all agree on a stand-up special being 100%, but they are 100% down with Hannah Gadsby?
And again, did you see it? Did you watch any of it?
Yeah.
Not really a stand-up special.
No, I found it kind of artful and skillful and interesting.
A one-woman show.
It was a one-woman show. Yeah, so with a lot of discussions about being abused, which, fly in the face of why you watch a stand-up show sometimes, but wouldn't label it a stand-up show. But 100% with the critics. And I don't know, what is Chappelle? Did they just basically flip the script?
Exactly.
44 with the critics and 96 with the people.
Wow.
But here's the more interesting part that people were tweeting me, and I don't know, Chris, if Chappelle was talking about it. I think he was. I don't know if it was on the special, but people were tweeting me. I've told everybody the wokest of the woke. Like, you can say, well, what's woke? And you go, well, state of Washington is pretty woke. And you go, okay. But then you go, what's more woke? And you go, Seattle. And then you go, what's more woke than Seattle? It's like a campus. And then like a
Chaz.
An all-female private school in the middle of Seattle. Okay, that's the woke upon the woke. The wokest of all the woke is film festivals.
Sure.
I've told you guys this for a long time. Like, you think the Hannah Gadsby reviewers are woke, try getting into South by Southwest or Sundance or
Aspen. Or
I was trying to think of the New York one.
Telluride.
Yes.
Tribeca.
Like, that is the elite of the wokest. And he's not getting his documentary into those places. I don't know if he was... I know what people tweeted me, or he was complaining about it on the special.
He said that he had meetings with everybody, and he got invited to different festivals. But then as soon as all this happened, no movie studio would meet with him and take a look at the documentary. They don't want to be anywhere near him.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was festivals, right?
He said festivals, and then he said studios as well, and then he said, except thank God for Ted at Netflix for he's the only one that hasn't canceled me yet.
Well, he has a $500 billion deal with Netflix for a few more specials.
They're invested, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to watch it?
Oh.
No festivals.
Here it is.
Oh, that's it.
So what is this?
He's just performing.
Yeah, this is him in Nashville, but he put it on his Instagram.
I mean, this is him doing a show.
This film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. And when this controversy came out about the closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos and Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet.
But to be sort of intellectually fair and honest, he's not doing stand-up either. He's bitching.
He's in the Lenny Bruce territory.
Yeah, you get to a certain place in stand-up. Well, I mean, yes, I know, I agree. I think him like sort of sitting and pontificating. This is kind of the problem, probably, with too many yes men in your crew. Like, you kind of need someone to go, hey man, you were talking for it wasn't that funny. Like, you need to step it up a little. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Yes, he's now he's getting into that. Well, it's our fault too, because we took him from a comedian and turned him into this sort of commentator on our society.
Yes.
You know, so he feels empowered to like go up there and go, well, I could tell jokes, but jokes are hard and you got to work them out and you got to memorize them. Or I could just go kind of pontificate and the audience will eat it up.
Right, they'll
so they're buying it. So why not? Why rat-a-tat-tat with the jokes? And I'm going to get Jeff Ross to punch this one up or whatever. So it's work.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll take the easier route. Now, you take the easier route and the audience sits there with their arms folded, stops showing up, well, then you switch back.
Yeah, there's no reason to do that.
He doesn't have any reason to do that.
Yeah, so Will Smith actually a few years ago got tips from Chappelle about stand-up, and Chappelle said that you don't have to be funny all the time, but you do have to be interesting all the time. So
there you
that's
go.
kind of what he's going for now, I guess.
All right, speaking of this, Carmelo.
Oh, yeah.
From San Antonio. 32. Comment, Carmelo.
Hi, guy. Hey, so real quick, Ace, just want to get it's perfect that I called into this to chip in on the the culture war, but did you catch this last week's of Bill Maher? I caught a clip where he went on his little new rules and talked about new rule where he said, basically kind of like what lives with this whole, I hate hearing this oh, a civil war is coming. Come on, Americans are too fucking lazy to shoot their neighbor, like in that sense. But
Tell that
you
to
know,
Baldwin.
he's right. Part of it is kind of like he told libs basically, kind of, shut the fuck up already. Like, we're crying too much. It was Netflix and chill the fuck out, I think, was his little gimmick. But the thing is, I know you've made mention of this, and I was kind of born into the time where conservatives were kind of just like, yeah, they were the ones that took Judas Priest off the shelves. I couldn't play Grand Theft Auto because some church mom and their group got pissed off. But it was kind of at a point where it's like, okay, shut the fuck up. The company decided, you people shut up. We don't care what you have to say. It's done. At that time, there also wasn't Twitter, so you do have a lot of over-liberal people, or people, to me, kind of seem like they're just trying to virtue signal, like, I don't know, guys like Rex Chapman, who just, like, goes endlessly to just kind of constantly retweet things like, big, cute videos, but every now and then you get a good...
Carmela, what is your Bill Maher take? That's what the screen says.
My take on Bill Maher is I like a lot of the things he's saying. My question for you, since, in your 58 years of living, when do you see the companies treating these wokesters like the Christian moms and putting them in that same cornfield with them? Because to me, they're all loony. It's like you got the guy that goes to church every Sunday.
Yeah, the Christian moms were taken pretty seriously back in the day. Because I had that same thing. If when I was on the radio in the 90s, if there was a complaint or a letter, it's like, all right, what religious nut job called in or whatever. It's interesting how you can shift your perception, because it was exclusively and only religious nut job, uptight, guys that were in loveless relationships or priests that were struggling with their sexuality and taking it out on me. And now if someone's got a beef or someone's got a complaint, you never think of religious people anymore. It's all like woke, left, college, whatever, academic, blah, blah, blah. But they took them seriously. I mean, I said the same thing about them as I would say to the wokesters out there that are making noise. They go, we got a letter from, so-and-so, or we got a couple of phone calls. And I'm like, so what? Why are we catering to these people? Why are we listening? It's just a couple of people. And I would always say, well, what about the thousands of people who want to be entertained? Or like, how come that doesn't count? You know what I mean? It's sort of like saying, one person got injured on a roller coaster, so we're shutting the roller coaster down in perpetuity. It's like, yeah, but you're discounting all the people who love roller coasters and want to have a good time on a roller coaster. Like, why are we doing this to them? And they took them seriously. Yeah.
Did they ever have an answer to that question?
No one has nobody in that office, in that corner office, their answer is knock it off.
Right.
That's their answer. But at a certain point, I think they kind of went, all right, we're going to get letters or whatever. It's about ratings. And I think some of this, it's always about the sponsors and what the sponsor's going to do, and is it going to scare off sponsors. But at a certain point, they kind of loosened their grip on it and just went, oh, fuck it. And then a new group sort of moved in, and that was the left, and that was, the super wokesters, and now they're doing the same thing, and it's the same remedy, which is who gives a fuck, say what you're going to say, and they're not, the numbers, I'll tell you, here's probably the difference, and why it's probably a little more effective. What we're dealing with today is more effective. It's probably the same percentages of Americans who agreed with the far-right Christian lunatics, which was like, it's a small group of people, and most Americans don't agree with those people. But we were kind of willing to voice that. Like, we would go, they're fucking nut jobs. I don't want any part of that. I'm not some Bible thumping, whatever. I'm not uptight, because no one would be called. I'm not. I love the feminine form, and if people want to smoke pot, they should be able to smoke. Right. So now, I would reckon we have the same small amount of lunatics, but they've captured a bit of the zeitgeist of the country, because take whatever BLM. The hardcore BLM people is a small group of people, but nobody wants to get caught saying into a microphone, I'm not down with that cause. I disagree with many of the tenets of what their cause is projecting, or whatever. Even defund the police or reimagine police. Like most people are kind of like, yeah. Or even now the trans community. Like it's a very small group, but who wants to be vocal against that group? So it's kind of interesting. They're both small fringe groups. One was able to kind of capture the zeitgeist, get people, mayors were, city streets were
repainted.
taking BLM and 40-foot letters down the middle of the street. Like you couldn't get the
Christian Coalition.
You couldn't get people into that. Right. Well, they got in. So now it feels like it's something, but it's still the same small group that I think doesn't speak for everyone, but we've come, and maybe it's a social media thing. Like maybe everyone is just so freaked out about, look, you got to put the black box in your Twitter account because it's a BLM thing, and you don't want to get. There's a lot of. I've never heard more discussion of back when it was all Christian right nut jobs. No one ever said, Adam, you're a comedian. You don't want to get caught not agreeing with the Christian nut jobs. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's my job.
Right.
Now
Push
it's
back.
like, go along. Like it's a whole, so if a comedian, you would have been insane to announce I'm for the Christian right or whatever they're trying to stifle free speech or whatever. Now you're going to have trouble getting your movie in Sundance. And so that's kind of the diabolical part of it. Someone's got a last question, and we'll get to Colin in a minute. Maxwell, 33, Florida.
Hey, how you doing, Adam?
Hi, Guy.
Man, I've been listening since Love Line and watching you since Man Show. It's great to finally talk to you.
Thank you.
My whole question kind of ties into what you've been talking about just now. I think the whole cancel thing is that, like, everybody, they want all of you comedians to take personal responsibility for these comedic statements, and it's like then they don't want to take personal responsibility for anything. And
what that mean?
It drives me nuts, and that's why I want to know when your show Catch a Contractor is coming back, man. 'Cause there's nothing I love more than watching you just lay into people for not being responsible at all.
Ooh, maybe we do Catch a Comedian.
Oh,
I go up on stage in the middle of a set from one of these guys.
Yeah.
And like Dave Chappelle and confront them.
Yeah, time out.
Time out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's good.
You get Skip up there. He gets his back all buffed out.
His back toward the audience.
Been doing the lat pull downs the whole time. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Catch a Contractor. Yeah, people like that. People like that show.
But how many more bathrooms in West Covina do you want to hide in?
Yeah, that's true.
When you don't have to.
Yeah, look, whether it's Lucy stomping in the grapes or me in the bathroom in West Covina or, Burt Reynolds in a swamp, like at some point you are in a swamp. That is your job. You're in a bathroom.
Right.
Getting yelled at by, an unsavory contractor. And it's tough. Yeah. That's why you want to do the Man Show. You want to sit on a throne. You want to be surrounded by juggies, beer in your hand. Yeah.
Ziggy zaggy.
Yeah.
I
don't. My mom actually tied the fox for beer chugging in the 70s.
Wow.
At his old bar.
Damn.
His bar in Santa Monica?
Tied him. She couldn't beat him, but she tied him.
Maxwell over here bearing the lead.
I know. So the Fox, Bill the Fox Foster would chug beer standing on his head. God, I can't remember. Must have been Jimmy's 30th birthday where he rented out a hall in the West Valley, like, the military type thing. When they have
the
those VA hall. He hired the Fox to perform and then had it catered by like Arby's, and everyone just yacked because everyone's eating Arby's and chugging because the Fox would be like, all right, hoist your beer, here we go, see if you can keep up with me. And then he'd pour another one, and we'd like pour another one, and everyone's just chugging beer. Down at his bar in Santa Monica, right?
Yep, down at his bar in Santa Monica, yep. Actually, she didn't even want to, but her brother wanted the T-shirt.
Oh.
So
she's a saint.
He signed her up, and she got it for him. So, yep.
I love her.
Wow. Is still alive, or the liver transplant
Yeah,
didn't
she
take?
just got back from her 50th high school anniversary in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Mhm.
She went to rehab. That's what she told Maxwell.
All right.
Reunion, sorry, not anniversary. Yeah.
I got it. Thanks,
I'm
Maxwell.
sorry. Yeah, thank you. It was great talking to you.
Good talking to you. All right. Let me tell you about Marshall headphones. Marshall rock stages worldwide for over half a century. Now you can carry this legacy and enhance your music experience right here. Nothing has been compromised while expanding Marshall's amps heritage. A big stage performance and individual enjoyment of music with Marshall's headphones and their speakers. Don't let chords get in the way of your journey. Oh, I got chords and journey in there. Someone could do a who's on first. Grab a portable Bluetooth speaker from Marshall, the Emberton. Compact portable speaker with a loud and vibrant sound. Only Marshall can deliver. Durable, 20 hours plus of playtime. And it's substantial, it's beautiful, it's compact, it packs a punch. Comes in a forest green, black, and also brass and cream. It's Marshall. Right, Dawson?
Get your own portable speaker today at MarshallHeadphones.com. Use code Carolla15 for 15% off any portable speaker at MarshallHeadphones.com.
Well, actor, writer, and improvisational comedian Colin Mochrie is going to join us. Oh, Mochrie. How do I say that?
Mockery, like mockery.
Oh, mockery.
Mockery.
Oh, Mochrie. Sorry. I made it into a Mochrie. Sorry. Colin Mochrie will join us right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. I know you're bitching about Subaru and, the car maker that's about love and everything like that. And then you started bitching about the other, goddamn, fuck, I'm drunk. The other car company talking about, jumping cars on the moon. You should check out the new one. Oh, fuck, I'm drunk. You have a good night.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Sound like me in Vegas. Colin Mochrie is on board with us, Skyping in from Toronto. Got some live shows coming up. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the Paramount Theater. That's November 4th. And then Rockford, Illinois. Coronado Performing Arts Center. That's on the 5th. We'll give out some more dates and places you can go to get tickets. Of course, you know from Whose Line Is It? Anyway, good to see you, Colin.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How did the live improv shows work?
Well, we like to say it's sort of a live version of Whose Line without the tall guy and the black guy. It's pretty much the same. We have games that be familiar to Whose Line fans. Everything starts with a suggestion from the audience. Everything's made up. It beats working.
Is it, what do you think creates, I do a lot of improv, and I realize a lot of it was born out of not wanting to read and not wanting to memorize stuff. I mean, it was sort of born from laziness or an inability to perform at school. Do you find that's a good foundation for improv?
Absolutely. Laziness and ignorance are my two big weapons in my arsenal. It really helps. Yeah, I find there's nothing better than just going up there with nothing and just making up crap with your friends.
But unfortunately, most people can't, or maybe fortunately, I don't know. Most people can't pull that off. I mean, that's the rub. Everyone, wants to give the book report without reading the book in the 6th grade. But, there's only a couple guys in the class that can kind of pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is it's really easy, but people think it's hard because you have to do things you don't do in real life, which is basically listening, accepting people's ideas, and then making them look good. So once you do that, it's really, really simple. We try to make it look harder so people won't do it.
Yeah, well, it's good because it's a it's a very base fear that most people have, So it's sort of like, I would imagine that, you'll see the guy take the flaming stick, and put it out in his mouth. And it's probably something I could teach my kid to do in 10 minutes, but it's got flames in your mouth. And we go, no, that sounds so scary. And I think improv kind of touches that nerve for the people in the audience. Like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine if I was up there, I would freeze.
Right.
Absolutely. But for me, I find stand-up the scariest of the comedic arts because, at least with improv, the audience is on our side for a little bit longer because we're using their ideas, so they want us to succeed. So we have like an extra 10 minutes to suck.
Do you find, and I think, can we liken improv? Could I use this analogy? Tell me what you think.
Okay.
A lot of people, there's people that are good athletes and they're just like naturally gifted, speed, vertical jump. It's really, you can't really teach speed. People kind of think you could work your way into it. You're not. You run a 4.3 40, you're gifted. You run a 5.3, you're out of the league. And there's not much we can do with you. Vertical's kind of the same way. You can either dunk or you can't. But if you work on your technique real hard, you can be a decent baseball player.
Yeah, baseball is the best example.
At the high school level. If you really work really want to work the techniques and the fundamentals, you could do it. You'll never be as good as Bo Jackson. He's gifted, and when you take Bo Jackson, we take gifted, and then you work the technique. Right. Now you really have sky's the limit. But do you feel like you can? First off, do you feel like there's really gifted improvisational people, and then can you teach people that aren't funny at all, just stick with the techniques and you can be passable up there?
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who it's so natural for and they immediately take to it. You can teach people the basics of improv and they should be fine. The funny part is harder. I don't know if you can teach someone to be funnier. I don't know if you can teach them to be funny.
Right. Yeah, you brought up listening, and it's no joke. I mean, the first thing you have to be broken of is your ability not to listen, which everyone is born with. It's a gift from God. We see it more and more now in our society, but it's like listening is a huge thing that we're not really trained to do, and it's not only we're not trained to do it, you must be broken.
Right.
That's how you go to the groundlings. They break you. They need to reset your bones over there.
Well, and like Colin said, it's basically the holy trinity of. It sounds like being a good human, and none of us do it naturally anymore. Listening, accepting what the other person said, and making them look good. Yeah. When does that happen?
It's all foreign.
Yeah.
It's insane. We, my partner Brad and I, we had to teach a corporate to a GE team because they weren't working well together. So the bigwigs thought, they'll teach them improv. That will help. So we came up with like a 2-hour lesson plan of what we were going to do. We spent the entire time trying to get them first to listen and just to say yes to someone. Scenes would start, someone would give an idea, and the other guy would go, no, you know what's better?
Oh my God.
And so we ended up just having them face off in 2 lines. We'd say, go in the middle. Once you ask a question or once you block someone's idea or not listening, you have to go to the back of the line. And they were just whizzing through until finally someone accepted an idea. This scene happened. We went, great. That's all the time we have. Try to build on that if you can. Remember what happened.
Work life.
Though, as I remember when my kids, I have twins, when they were young, we used to play like improv games. It's really pretty delightful. Like there is a natural spirit to it. People take to it. Like if my kids were 7 or 8, and we'd kind of be in the kitchen and we'd go, all right, now here it captures people's imaginations. It's one of those things, we do. Everyone takes a spin class. People take cooking classes. There's probably more people that have taken classes on how to make sushi more white people than have taken an improv class. But an improv class has such a universal application.
I've done both.
Sushi's fine, but it doesn't. It's not really help you in a job interview unless
Right.
you know it's
No.
a Benihana or something.
Very specific.
But yeah, like I don't know what are some things that like average everyday people should everyone just go take a class somewhere?
They should. I mean, it's a great life skill to have. It's great if you have to do a lot of public speaking. You sort of get over your nerves. You feel a little more relaxed. You learn how to go into situations as an open slate without any preconceived ideas of, okay, this person I'm going to meet is not going to give me what I want. You walk in and sort of live in the moment and just work with what you have. It's a great skill to have.
Did you ever? Oh, Brian's got a
Well,
question.
the listening skill is it's not only it's underrated as part of improv, but like in your real life, you don't realize it until you've done a little bit of improv that you're like, oh, people don't listen. Like they wait for their turn to talk. Like whether it's relationships or the corporate world, like listening is a hugely valuable skill.
Oh my God!
You listen and you react and you form a thought.
One of the biggest problems I had when I first started hosting Loveline was all the callers would just call in, and all it was is they'd go, I'm 17, I have genital herpes, my stepdad is pissed off, he hates my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is 21, and he's a laborer on a construction site. And then I would go, well, do you have a boyfriend?
No.
And then, but I'll tell you the bad part is when not the caller answers you, the other person in the
host,
room,
yeah.
it starts filling you in on
Right.
all the stuff that they heard simultaneously
Right.
when you heard it, except for they heard it and you didn't hear it. And I realized Dr. Drew was listening to all their problems. I was trying to come up with jokes.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like,
Right.
kind of like, I got to make this funny.
Right.
So I was like, oh, she's had herpes. Okay, herpes. And she's going on talking about her boyfriend and their situation. I'm still trying to compose a herpes joke. Took me a long time to like break myself and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't teach yourself to multitask. So you're looking for the joke at the same time you're listening. Many years of practice. And
Yes.
Zen-like qualities are needed.
Yeah, no, that is the compartmentalizing. You'll notice it with stand-up and sometimes too, where you're like physically telling a joke, but you're thinking a joke or two ahead or thinking about something else. Yes, Gina.
Chess. Well, I was just thinking, we're talking about this sort of Zen meditation thing, and I can't help but ask, what is hyprov or hiprov, and do you really do it? Do you really do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I tour with a hypnotist because we figured might as well get two art forms that no one believes in, put them together, save time. So he hypnotizes 20 people, gets it down to the best 5, and then I do an improv set.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrifying for me, but it's been fascinating just because I had so many misconceptions about improv or hypnotism, and I've learned a lot. And every night we find an amazing improviser. There was one time we had a woman on. I always talk to them after the show, and she said, I suffer from crippling social anxiety. I have no idea why I volunteered, but that was the best time I ever had. Yeah. I've never felt more relaxed in my life. And so she was planning to take more improv classes and get out there. So I thought, I never thought of this as being a byproduct of this show to sort of help people in some way.
So you're just getting people into an aggressively deep state of relaxation and then basically teaching them improv games. That's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, they actually become like pure improvisers. They just react to everything I say and everything the hypnotist says and just goes along with it. Again, when I was talking to them afterwards, I said, do you remember everything? Well, oh, yeah, I remember everything. It's just everything you said, it sounded like it's such a great idea. I just went along with it. I thought, man, if there was some way to do this in real life, it'd be great.
What, I find interesting that you have figured out a way to make a living doing a job that really didn't exist formally. I mean, or at least not too long ago. And I I sort of am a kindred spirit, which is I was always like, I'm funny, but I'm not really a sitcom actor, and I'm not a movie star, and not really a stand-up. So how would one make money?
Right.
Because there was 3 or 4 jobs you could have as a comedian, or maybe you'd be in a writer's room or something. But it's kind of interesting that we've kind of expanded the form so much that there's ways to make a living doing, for us, we started doing live podcasts 10, 12 years ago. Like no one was doing live on stage podcasts, and that the audience would pay and enjoy, and that there's so many different. I don't know. It's almost like when I grew up, there was like one taco. It had ground beef in it. Now there's 128 types of tacos, and I think we're better for it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I am so grateful that Whose Line came along, because I have literally no other skills. There's nothing else I can do to make a living. So the fact that this show came along that showcased the one thing I can do and gave me a career, really thankful.
How was the audition? How did that work? Did you call from the agent? You know somebody? Did you have to go in and do a Herald or something?
Did you have to go to the UK?
My first audition, I was at Second City in Toronto, and they were doing a cross America audition tour. So they saw the show, liked the cast, asked us to audition the next morning at 8, which, as you know, is the perfect time
for comedy. Yeah.
So because we had worked as a cast for a while, we did that thing you're supposed to do in improv. Everybody was very supportive. So nobody stood out, because the scenes were good, but nobody stood out. And it wasn't until my second audition, I'd moved down to LA. I was auditioning with a lot of people I didn't know. So it was like, hey, screw you, look at me, which is a great lesson for the kids. So it starts off, it was like a 4-hour audition. It's like the worst audition you can ever imagine. You just start doing games from the show. And then after about an hour, the producer, who a lovely man, said, okay, now we're going to get rid of the dead wood, which I thought, oh, interesting. And then you go down until there's 4 of you. And then they say, okay, we'll call you if you've made it.
And you got the call.
I got the call. And my first show was in the UK in 1990. My daughter was 2 months old. We just started a new season. She just turned 31. So long running show.
Did in school, were you class clown? Were you popping off? Did you kind of go, I have a good sense of humor, but I don't really like studying? Like, what was that like?
I felt I did have a good sense of humor, but I was very quiet, very studious. I was an honor student. And then I was dared to try out for the school play by a friend of mine, and I got it. And I got my first laugh, and that was kind of the end of everything. I was planning to become a marine biologist. I think it worked out well, because I always go for the high-paying jobs, improviser or marine biologist. So I think it worked out. But I still remember that first laugh and how it just changed everything for me.
How was, let's see, you were in Scotland, and then you moved to Montreal at around 7 years of age?
Mm-hmm.
How was Montreal? And I guess what I'm asking is like, when I went to junior high and high school, it was constantly sit down, shut up, you're being disruptive, no one wants to hear. It was like a lot of stifling. I was making jokes, but
conforming.
Yeah, I was disruptive. Yeah. Like that was always disruptive.
I find that hard to believe, Adam.
Also, they do a lot of obfuscation, which is they'd go like the teacher would go like, how am I supposed to teach when you're coming in late, disrupting the class? Like, bitch, that's on you.
That's your job.
I snuck in the back door and slid onto my
Ask
desk.
yourself that.
Yeah, you're the one who's standing there in front of the chalkboard. How about you be a little more engaging and not worry about me being disruptive? But I don't know, is Montreal a little more progressive or something? Did they see something in you?
No. No, they didn't.
Good.
They saw nothing.
They saw nothing.
No, it was the same. I spent my early life running from groups of French toughs who wanted to beat me up. But yeah,
swinging baguettes.
they were heartless. But yeah, I mean, the school system was not great for me. There were a lot of teachers I really enjoyed, but I was never in their classes. I would actually skip my classes to go to their classes because I would learn more from them and be more engaged. So, yeah, I just found it really hit and miss with the teachers I had.
If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, but I heard that your daughter's is transsexual or son, and there's all this, Dave Chappelle shit going on in this second, and you're a comedian, so you're probably pretty uniquely qualified to talk to about that subject. Do you have thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is tough when you have a trans person in your life. I mean, when our daughter came out to us that she was trans, I mean, the first thing we thought of was her safety. Because even though this is probably the best time for it to happen, it still has a long way to go before everyone is totally accepting. And, we were, my wife's family is very conservative. So there was worry there about what would entail there. But to a person, they were all incredibly supportive. My 88-year-old mother-in-law totally accepted it. My mother also did, although she keeps calling it the BLT community.
Delicious.
Yes. So I find it difficult to enjoy that a humor that attacks a certain or puts a certain group in a bad light. When my daughter first came out, with her permission, I posted it on Twitter, and I got an email from a gentleman in London, England, who has a improv group for that community. And he said, I saw your post. I think that's great that you're supportive of your daughter. Can I ask you, the next time you do Who's Line, to keep an eye out on the homophobic and transphobic stuff you do? And I immediately thought of everything we have done on that show, and he was right. I didn't have a leg to stand on. It truly came out of ignorance. There wasn't, I truly believe all the horrible things we did, it wasn't a direct attack on that. It was just, we were panicking, we needed a laugh, so we did the cheap thing of either kissing one another or doing some sort of a gay joke. And then I realized that by doing that, I immediately sort of denigrated an entire segment of the population. So it's something I've been really aware of since. I shared that email I got with other improv troupes that I've worked with around the world. And this conversation started happening about some people had already been way ahead in that area of keeping an eye on that thing and just making sure, whether it's gender or sexuality, just try to keep an eye on that and not to make general assumptions.
Have you noticed the audience is changing? Because I imagine, the stuff you did back when that you're not too proud of today got a big laugh at the time. Do you think it would get that same laugh today? Or do you feel like the audience has evolved?
Sometimes it depends on the audience. Sometimes there are times now where people will make a disapproving noise when you've said something absolutely innocent that is not is not bad in any way, but they've made up some joke and now they're putting it on you. I've had times where I've had to stop and go, what did I just say? It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. They've somehow gotten so sensitive that it's now become a thing. I think the audiences are a little more aware. I find the thing that actually causes more problems is politics. And we actually, in our shows, we've said at the beginning, we're not going to take any political suggestions at all. First of all, I don't think we can do justice to any kind of political humor. All our stuff would be, well, that guy's an idiot or an asshole.
Right.
And that's not really satire. That's where, comedians who deal with that sort of thing, they've thought out their point of view, they've honed it, they've made it work. And our stuff is just goofy stuff, and we just you'll never walk away from one of our shows having learned anything. So we're just there to have fun, and we try to make sure that the audience knows that from the beginning.
You're in Toronto, I think you're saying, Second City. Back in the day. Who were some of the people you came up with? Like I was in the Groundlings for a little while, or I passed through the Groundlings. And there's always, this person and that person. And famously, you hear the names of the Elviras and the Pee Wee Hermans and all the folks that people were there at the same time. And who are any names we might recognize beside your own?
Well, Ryan Stiles was there also. Mike Myers was on the main stage when I joined with the touring company. And I mean, a lot of the SCTV cast would always sort of come around every once in a while. Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara and Andrea Martin. And I've had a chance to work with those guys, which is... it's almost like sitting in with the Beatles, because I grew up on SCTV and I was a big fan of all of them. And to be able to work with those guys, it was just amazing. It was just one of the best moments of my life, being able to do a show with them.
True or false? Eugene Levy is much more handsome now than he was 30 years ago.
Agreed.
I'm going to say yes. He's aged very well.
Guys get wrinkled and fat and
he looks
bald,
much better.
He's actually, like, I see him now, I'm like, that's a handsome dude.
Yeah.
He wasn't considered anything close to handsome when I would watch SC.
Caitlin, do a side-by-side of him from Splash and, like, him
Schitt's
today.
Creek, yeah.
Well, I guess it's certain features, but they just work in a 63.
Right.
I don't know.
Salt and pepper.
How old is Eugene Levy? I mean, for some reason, he just keeps getting better looking.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, no, he looks great. I mean, he had, that sort of
74.
perm look, I think, during his SCTV days. But yeah, he's the eyebrows still have a life of their own, which is great.
Do you know Mike Myers? I mean, he said Mike Myers is up on the stage. How is he weird? Is he reclusive? Like I think I've interviewed him once, and all I can remember is we had him up on stage in like some beach city in Florida for some MTV when I was on MTV, and he was coming out with Austin Powers. And his thing is he kept saying, you can't just call it Austin Powers. Got an international man of mystery. Like, you have to put that on. They just kept beating that. Didn't really last. But I guess I interviewed him in one of those spring break beach MTV things a million years ago. But I have no read on him. Do you?
Yeah, I know him fairly well in that my wife and he were good friends. They were the Second City touring company together. They worked on the main stage together. They've known each other for like 40 years. Nice. So the times I've been with him, I've been in social situations with just the three of us, and he's been like a normal guy. I mean, I certainly can't imagine what it was like for him at the heyday when, everything he did was a major success. I'm still hoping for those days. I don't know. Time's slipping away. But,
don't worry. Mike will be back. He always lands on his feet.
I'm not worried about Mike, to tell you the truth.
Well, that's what you said.
Yeah, don't be concerned.
That's what we heard.
I bet your wife cares more deeply about Mike than you. Colin, you want to hang out with us, and we'll take a break, and then we'll do some news?
Sure.
All right, let me tell you first about Tommy John. Fall can be chaos in your pants. It's hotter in Hades one day. It's cold the next. How about you get yourself some Tommy John? They can handle anything. Breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric, 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. I'm wearing mine right now. I wouldn't dream of leaving the house without them. Over 60 million pairs sold, and this fall, upgrade what's underneath with new Tommy John underwear and luxurious soft loungewear. I slept in my Tommy John loungewear last night. Oh, so wonderful, the long johns. So they look good enough to wear anywhere, but they're comfortable enough to lay in bed in. and go to sleep like I did. Best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free, guarantee, right, Dawson?
Get 20% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's TommyJohn.com/Adam for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/Adam. Seaside for details.
I'm going to take a dump, and one day, civilizations unknown to us today will find my fecal remains, and I will be heralded as the great man. And oh, come on,
Shut
Tim,
up,
just
Bert,
finish
keep digging.
taking your shit, would you? Have another Paps and some blue cheese, would you? Spare us. I'm telling you, one day, I had a vision.